Hello and welcome to Flory Models Kit View Time. Today something of a complete classic and a legend. What we got here is Hasegawa's 1/48 scale F-14A. This is the second release of this one. If I remember rightly, the first one was known as the Pacific Squadrons. And then they did, and that was in 1988 when that one came out. This one came out in 1989, and obviously this is the East Coast or the Atlantic squadrons for the F-14 as well. What was one of the things, and I remember at the time seeing this in like publications, magazines, things like that, before the internet, and thinking, wow, a nice F-14, that would be good, and seeing the pictures of it, and it was one of those kits where I just had to get it. Unfortunately, living in the depths of Devon, I had to wait quite a while. I was actually working at the time in London and managed to pick one up. This was the other boxing for the actual Pacific Squadrons one. And then I remember looking at it and thinking, wow, this is absolutely amazing. Blown away with the level of detail. And at this point is where I probably became a massive Hasegawa fan, because they were doing things with kits I'd never seen before. Not only was the actual internals, you know, on a different scale to anybody else's out there, even giving Tamiya a run for its money in this day and age, especially with modern stuff, because Tamiya really didn't do anything modern back then. They did the World War II, Hasegawa, obviously they'd done the Phantoms, we got the Tomcats, and we were getting all the other bits and pieces. But what was amazing was the surface detail. It was on that hard, shiny plastic, and you could see the sort of intricacies that went into it. And if you think about what really Italia were doing in those days, you know, Airfix, Revell, it was completely on another planet. You know, it's literally completely like night and day with these particular kits. They came at a premium, but they weren't too bad price. I think back then they were around about 35 quid, you know, and you do get a hell of a lot of plastic for your money. And it was one of those ones where I used to think, well, I'd treat myself to one of these, you know, bearing in mind those days I was an apprentice engineer on £80 a week. And it was one of those where I was like, do you know what? I'm going to treat myself and we'll build one up nice and slowly. Funnily enough, I didn't get around to building it because of work and life and things like that for almost a year before I actually built it. And then I was like, why didn't I build it earlier? Because it was absolutely amazing kit. But if you want to go back to nostalgia, this is definitely one of those kits for me. Also, don't forget that time as well, you had Top Gun. It's an F-14. I don't have to say anymore. Let's face it, a lot of us were hooked. So, beautiful little bit of box art on this one. Again, it's this sort of classic Hasegawa. They've never changed the box. This thing's had more reboxings than, yeah, I can't think of something. It's had lots of boxings. Well, polite anyway. But again, it's one of those ones where it's classic Hasegawa all the way through. Now, I know they got a little bit of stick, probably around about 10, 15 years ago, because there was a lot of reboxings, and this kit has been reboxed to death. And I'm looking over on ScaleMates here, and as you can see along here, you can see all the different boxings of this kit that have come out. And this is because Hasegawa had a great sort of reputation of actually not being a kit manufacturer, but a decal manufacturer right the way through. But they did do some weird ones as well. They did these fantastic ones as well. All right, same kit right the way through. So again, one of those ones where, you know, you could literally find the decals you wanted, because they did pretty much every single squadron right the way through, including one of my personal favorites down there, Vandy 1 as well, which I've built a few of those in the beautiful black as well as Phantoms. But anyway, enough about its history. The kit itself is absolutely fantastic. You got stuff in here that when you think this kit now is like, you know, technically 1988 this kit came out, what you get in here is still absolutely fantastic. So quick run round on the box. Blurb, PT46 is your kit number for this one, or 07246, depending on how they do it in your particular area. As you can see down in here, we've got the legendary squadron, which is VF-84 with the skull and crossbones down in there. And again, right the way through. So in the box itself, you will be greeted by the famous giant instructions sheet. So yeah, there we go. And obviously we've got Felix down in here, or the Flying Pencil as it's commonly known, because it has a black nose, and some of the other squadrons as well. So again, really very, very nice down here. So like VF-21 as well, and we've got VF-154. So very nice, as well as obviously the Tomcat as VF-31. But again, really, really nice decals. You know, as I say, minimal sort of carrier film, a little bit dull, a little bit flat, but they work really very, very well. All right. Then we are greeted by the box. So inside the box, we have the famous wheels and tyres. So it's rubber, wheels and tyres. This is new. It was never ever in one of these bags. I can remember that far. All right, you do get a really nice piece of photo etch as well for the canopy work. And we've got metal main gear. Different types of wheels and hubs on these ones, so different ways of picking it out as well. They're very, very subtle, but you know, it's nice that you do get both of them down in there. And then you're greeted by this. And again, I remember seeing this for the very first time, thinking, look at the surface detail on the bag, and we've got a gun, and yeah, completely blown away. So we've got a couple of bags with them all in there like that. All right, so as always, we will start in the instructions and have a look through. All right. Typical Hasegawa. If you've ever built a Hasegawa kit, you'll know what it is. All the colour callouts are in guns format as well, so obviously you can just have a look at those. But generally, as you said, having these little add-on parts, which is pretty much standard now of most model kits, was led by Hasegawa doing this type of thing as well. So again, you do have decals which can go on to make up some of the instrument panels, but the detail is so nice on these that literally just a dry brush and then go in there with some marker pens, you can make this beautiful. And then I always used to pop in with a little bit of my light wash just to do the actual around the panels and various things and give dusty switches, stuff like that. Again, the seats weren't too bad either. I know a lot of the time I might go in there and do aftermarket seats for it, but the seats just off the bat are quite nice. So cockpit section goes together just like that. You do get two crew, again, really nice detailed crew as well. Then you're straight into the actual nose wheel section because that bolts underneath the cockpit floor. And then obviously you can actually put all the tub in the front end of it like that. All right. Little bit of nose weight going in at the front on this one, says about 30 grams. I was never that sure if it needed it, but it definitely does. Because as I say, especially if you have the wings swept back, it will fall back. I think with the wings out, you're okay, but if you've got the wings swept back, it will want to sink backwards. Always remember to open up these holes. The amount of times I forgot to do these are for the drop tanks underneath. But again, this way that this goes in, there's a little bit of a lip down in here. If you take your time and sand it before you attach it to the aircraft, it's well worth it. What I tended to do was not put in the compressor fan at the back, install this part, paint, sand, and all the rest of it down in here before you actually attached it. And then up here, the really complicated sort of door system for slowing down that airflow going down into the engines. Used to make all of this up, paint all of this, and then sandwich it and then bung it off. So nothing could get down there into the white section. It can be a little bit of a handful getting these to sort of meet up and go in. Tammy has done a beautiful way of little infills which take care of this problem. But again, this is one of the areas on here you want to take a little bit of time just making the best test fit you can with those intakes to getting them in. It is well worth doing it. Wheel wells coming together, which make it really nicely done as well. Then you've got the top and bottoms coming together. This is where you have to make the decision on if you want the bags. So these bags actually inflate and they fill the void. So when the wings are swept back and forward, there's no gaps between them. All right, so you do need to make your mind up which one it is. If you go with the one with obviously with the wings so they can be swept back, it does mean you can pose it with the wings forward, although you will get a depression into it. But again, it's a way of getting around. But if you've got them out, it won't shut. So yeah, definitely one of those things to think about down in there. The rest of it's pretty much self-explanatory. Opening up holes underneath as well for the pallets, for the Phoenix missiles, and everything just down in there. All right. Then the two halves coming together. Take your time again with it. This back seal will be your problem one. The seam line that runs down in here, you want to make sure it's good. You can hide a lot of it with the tail planes, but just make sure, especially the little step, you make a little bit of time with sanding and filling to make sure that's good. It's not a perfect fit. All right. Then usual thing, you've got the actual platypus tail, as we call it, down here at the back. So again, going to be going through, depending on which version you're doing, is different ones on this one as well. So putting those in, fitting it to the back. Then you've got the engines, which are the TF, is it 50s? Can't remember what they are now. But anyway, the old style engines down in the back being fitted onto this one, and then those go in. I always put those in afterwards it's been painted, because you can drop them in afterwards. Then the wings. One of the best things about this kit, even today up against Tamiya and things like that, is that you can have this thing posable. All right, so you get full flaps and slats with this one. You can make this thing kneel on the deck as well, as if you're ready for the carrier takeoff. The choices are yours with it. Obviously, if you are going to be doing it with the wings spread, you can have flaps and slats down. Obviously, if you're having it folded back, you can't. All right, so make your decisions as you're going through with all of these. The gear itself can be a little bit fiddly. It's multi-part, and you've got this peg system on here, so you have got a turning nose section. It's a bit of a gimmick, because if you turn it too many times it will snap. All right, but again, you can pose it how you want with that. You have got these metal hubs as well, so we say we've got the white metal hubs for these ones for the actual wheels, and obviously tires. Aftermarket now, if you don't like your rubber, there's plenty of aftermarket resin tires down there for that. Nose gear assembly going through, and then obviously with the nose fitted onto this one, then you've got the bottom pallet as well, which then goes through. Again, take your time with the fitting of that. Test fitting and that will save you a lot of filler. All right, main gear system going right the way through. It is what it is. It plugs in. It's big, it's beefy, and it does the job really well. The doors go right the way through, and yes, these little doors do just stick against the side of the actual intake. A lot of people think there's a gap. They don't. They go flush to it, so you can pop that one in there. Tail hook being put onto this one. Then we've got the little strafe stand at the bottom underneath the engines being fitted in, and again, you can do speed brakes open or closed. Tail planes. For the actual vertical stabs being put together, those have been fitted in there as well, no problem at all. Then you've got your actual weapon system, so the outer pylons as well, so you've got all of those for stations 1 and 2, those being fitted down onto here and then fitted on. Then you've actually got your pallets fitted underneath. All right, so you can either do the full 4 or you can go 2. One of the big things with this kit is, though, you don't get any missiles. So unfortunately, you are going to have to raid your spares box for these ones. But what you do get the recce pod as well. So you've got the reconnaissance pod can go underneath it. So it wouldn't be carrying weapons if it has got the recce pod, although it probably would carry a couple of sidewinders, I would have thought. But anyway, fuel tanks, and those go on just like that. Then the canopy, again, we've got this metal stuff to go in as well. We've got a little bit of photo etch for bending it for your mirrors, and we've actually got the locking system fits down. Nice detail, especially if you're going to be having it open. You can have the steps open or closed. Again, really nice touch with this kit. Hadn't seen it before until this kit came along. So that's it, and that completes it. So markings, again, right the way through. So again, you've actually got the Jolly Rogers VF84, you've got the Freelancers VF21, and then obviously we've got the Black Knights over here with VF154, classic one. And my personal favourite, if you've seen this, I've actually built this kit, it is a video build on the site, is for the actual Tomcat kit as well. All right, so again, very nice seeing Felix on there just like that. And that is it for there. So as I said, a couple of really nice touches with this one. You do get a little bit of photo etch. So this is your steps, the sides of them, and then you've got the pegs which make up the runners. These are your clasping for the locks that are all going to go down, and then obviously you've got the pilot's mirrors with the 3 and the Rios with the 1 on there, just like that. Then we've actually got wheels. So again, different hubs. There's 2 types in here. You've got the bigger, thicker hubs and the smaller little spoke type as well. And again, on the nose, we've got the 2 little ones in there just like that as well. So some really nice touches with those. Again, I'm not a fan of rubber wheels, and these are no doubt, maybe you want to replace them, all of it, with some resin afterwards, because again, these ones are a little bit, yeah. Okay, so the kit itself, ooh, it's a seal bag. I thought it was going to be a staple. There we go. So in the bag itself, we are greeted by top fuselage section. Again, this is the first time I'd seen this proper type of plastic on a big thing like on a Tomcat. But again, really very, very nice down in there. Very, very cool. Very nice. And again, some of the various parts. So on the close-up, you can probably see the surface detail. Really very nice, as is the real thing. I think Hasegawa did a mega job on this kit, especially for the 80s. But again, got everything you could want down in there. Is all very nice indeed. So we was talking about the bags. These are these bags that go on here. This is these. So this is it in the inflated position. And they've got a little bit of textures, like a fabric texture. Probably hear it. All right, and then this is it with it deflated. So you can see it's got a, hopefully you can actually see it's a large curve to it up here. It's not flat. These ones look like they're properly flat because obviously they're inflated. These are ones because the wing is swept back and then comes in here. These bags inflate to seal it, but mainly is when the wings are forward to stop that horrible vortex. All right, down in there. Inside, it is what it is. It's a little bit crude and rough, but again, you've got nice tops of the wheel wells down in here. Absolutely fine. All right. Okay. Then we've got the lower fuselage with all the different bits on here. And this kit is starting to show its age. The only reason I say that is I can see little bits of flash on here. We've got a little bit of flash just down on here. In here, there's a little bit of flash just running around in here. But again, when you've got a kit of this age, but hopefully you can see beautiful details all the way through. This is that cockpit, so it's flat because obviously they did different versions with the B's and D's versions of this kit. So again, it has different lumps and bumps, so that's why they've done it. It's like a blank system on here as well. There's the lovely nose, all right the way through. This part's quite interesting because this is what's going to go up inside your canopy. So this is the actual demisting system right the way through. There's a little bit of flash on it, just needs a little bit of a knife down in there to clean it out, but it is the bar with that going right the way through. On the underside is where you're going to fit that photo etch. So these photo etch bits here are going to run on the inside. So when the cockpit's open, you can see the teeth from it. It looks very, very nice indeed. So again, a little bit of flash on this kit, but for a kit of its age, I don't think it's too bad at all. All right. Also, the other thing we have got is we've got the actual engines. So these are the TF whatever they are. All right, so the reason you get two types of nozzle, we've got it in the open and closed position, is that the way that the aircraft is shut down, it's shut down with one open and one closed. So in theory, if you're doing it correctly, if I remember rightly, it's the port side is in the closed position and then the starboard is in the open. It's the way it shuts it down for various reasons, which I can't remember. But again, some nice details on the inside with these and all the different areas. There is aftermarket, buy tons of it if you wanted to do it on these ones, trust me. Okay. So, giant bag of stuff just here. Always check for bits falling out of your bag. Just keep an eye on those. All right, so we've got a dual pair like him. His head's come off. That's why I look at it. So we've got two identical ones just down in here. So if we look at the ones with the heads on, all right. So you can probably see we've got the seat, we've got the pull handles, and the seat itself, like we said before, isn't a bad seat. It's actually okay. We do get two heads. The reason for we've got visor down, visor up, so you can see the face of the pilot. The pilot himself isn't a bad pilot. He looks pretty good. So if you're doing it in flight, you're halfway there already. The pylons, as I say, is the outside one, the bulge on there as well. The rear pallet down in here, so it's one of the rears. And we've got the two drop tanks. And then obviously we've got the Sparrow rail or the Phoenix rail down in here as well. All right. Then, so we've got various parts coming off the sprues here. So, all right. So again, we've got the tail and the various bits. I'm just down in there. So again, very, very nice indeed. So depending on which tail you're going with and the various things, we've got them down in here. The differences between them is literally off of these tails. In case you're wondering, you see on here, you've got a radar warning receiver. There's a little sink mark in that as well. This one doesn't have one. All right, so one of them has the little extra bulge for the radar warning receiver on the tail, is the early one, and the later one has the little bulge on it, just like this. All right, but generally you can see right the way through both of them, these little grills, so you can see through to the floor from the top, so forth and so on. So again, very nice indeed. Then you've got the big verticals. Single piece, no moving rudder, unfortunately, but you do get all the strengtheners on here. So you've got the strengthening plates at the top. They are all in, and the various things looking very nice as well. And then these lumps down the back here are for the engines themselves. All right, so the nozzles go onto this bit. This is the outer bit. These little guys down in here are the actual leading edges of the actual air intakes. All right, and they fit on there just like that. But yes, very nice. Okay, bigger sprues. Okay, main gear, different plastic, just a lighter plastic on this one. So again, various things going down on here. That's that pod we were talking about, the reconnaissance pod. Mainly you've got the gear. We have got the different noses in here for the different versions of the F-14 as well. So again, different types down in here all the way through. Hasegawa really thought about this kit before they sort of released it. And as you might guess, over here, we've got the A's Cockpit, and then because it's Sprue F, and then I think we used to have the D one over on this side with it. But again, some really very, very nice details on these ones. So you've got the crew arms, you've got this multi-part gear system. It looks more complicated than it is. Don't be too fazed by it, and it is quite beefy when you get it together. Here we've got those different chins for it with the cameras and without the cameras, and the various ones down in here. The only one you don't get in here is the D, I don't think, but we've even got the early one up here as well. So we've got all of those and some of the little compartment bits in here. Again, check to make sure you get the right ones, but it's got everything from rudders, things like that. The detail inside the actual nose, all these different areas. To be honest with you, it's a really nice detail kit. This is the cockpit parts with those instrument panel sides, which is really, really nice. Yes, you could check it out and do a Quinta one if you wanted to, but to be honest with you, I think those are really, really nice anyway. Right, over to the wings. So wing section would be like this, but they've fallen off. All right, so again, a little bit of flash on this these days. Don't break these little tabs off and all the rest of it, but to be honest with you, this is looking really very, very flashy. You can probably see up on here now, it's beginning to show its age. It's got quite a lot of flash on this. I don't remember it on the originals, but again, this has been redone to death, this mold, over the years with all the different versions that have come out and been done. Gear doors, a bit unlike, just down in there. Got your slaps, got the flaps down here at the back. So yeah, really very, very nice indeed. Again, it's one of these kits which, you know, for its age, when you think how old this kit was and what Airfix were knocking out at that point, you just have to think to yourself, wow, okay. Okay, we're just going to jump back to the decals to show you. Do a little bit of a close-up so you can see, but these are really very, very nice. Get the light to reflect off of it. And you do get some nice options. We've got the anti-skid walkways, tail hook. Again, really nice stuff on this one. Really, really good. All right. Very, very nice with all of those. And last up, we've got the clear parts, which are really good. So again, we've got the clear parts down in here. You do have a seam line that runs right the way through the middle, and it's always quite noticeable. It's always one of those things you're going to be polishing these. And again, down in here, we've got the bits for the reconnaissance pod as well as the HUD and other areas and nav lights and things like that for the glass work and all the rest of it. And that is your classic F-14. To be honest with you, if you think about all the companies that have come after this and have been chasing this kit, because that's what they've been doing, none of them have done as good a job as I think Hasegawa did, especially when you think the age. Because obviously, let's face it, the ones we've got there, we've got the AMK one. To be honest, it's very nice, but it's got its faults like they've all got, and this has got its faults as well. All right, so, you know, various things to that one. Again, trying to get hold of one's a little bit tricky these days, but, you know, if you can, it's got some nice touches to it. This thing's still got a lot more going for it, I think, in detail and posability and things like that. Then obviously you've got the Tamiya one. So, you know, obviously you've got the Tamiya one as well, which come into a lot of flack at the beginning because, you know, you could only pose the wings one way. You know, you couldn't have this thing with slaps and flats and everything out and all the rest of it and have it kneeling down as if it's to do a carrier shot because you didn't have any of those. So, yeah, it was one of those ones where everyone looked back and thought, well, the Hasegawa one did. And that's why it could be sort of always carried a little bit of folklore with the Hasegawa one all the way through because it ticked all the boxes back in the day. The only thing it didn't tick was any weaponry. So that's when Hasegawa very cleverly used to have a good marketing strategy because they came up with an aftermarket weapon set, which I've got to remember is the air-to-air one, but it's not the air-to-air one that comes with the Phoenix missiles. It was I think it was the guided pods and things like that actually came with the actual Phoenix missiles. So if you wanted to get the weapons for this one, you had to buy 2 weapon sets. So you used to have to go out and get the ones for the Sidewinders and the Sparrows, and then you'd have to get another one because it had the Phoenix missiles in it as well. That was always a little bit off, but I used to raid my spares box for Sparrows, and Sidewinders had those in abundance. But Phoenix missiles used to have to go out and buy the weapon set for it as well. And again, even when Italeri and things like that came along, I used to nick the Phoenixes out of them and use them on this kit. And away you went. It is still, even by today's standard, I think a really, really notable kit. I bought this kit. It is my kit, and I do intend to build it as well. nostalgia build, but really I think that's giving it not the credit that kit's due. This kit's been legendary and holding its head up with all the other ones that have come after it really, really well. So I intend to hopefully do it justice and do a full build on this kit. I have done it before. You can go off and see it when I did it in 2007. Which is very well known. In those days, I used to be able to put music with my videos, but then YouTube decided to sort of, get funny. So a lot of it had to be edited out and take out the bits I had with music and stuff like that. But there's, I was going through a divorce when I built this one as well. So it was one of those ones where it's sort of, good memories in a lot of ways and bad in others. But this particular kit saw me through it all when I was building it. Anyway, that's it from me. That is the Hasegawa's legendary 1/48 scale F-14 Tomcat.